Hello, Trout Poor Nation. I know you probably don't want to see my face, but I told Charlie Poole I would make a video for him for pegging the bead, and I understand he is hearing impaired, but is a badass lip reader. So I guess the rest of you are just going to have to suffer through it. So anyway, Charlie, to you and the rest of you, maybe you'll get something out of this too. So just real quick, I know there's a bunch of different ways to tie a bead rig. There's the nail knot method. There's a couple guys I know that spin the bead and run the line through, and that's way too much work for me. So I like to use these peggets. They're basically trout beads makes them. I'm a cheap bastard, so I take these long peggets and I cut them in half right in the fat spot so that I can use two out of each one. So they come in clear, they come in orange, they come in probably other colors as well. The trout beads that I like to throw, this is, for trout fishing, for rainbows, browns, whatever. Steelhead, it's a whole different game, but I'm talking about trout fishing on this one. I like the yellow mottled beads and orange. This is the little bead box I take with me. Looks like I need to reload, but anyway, hoping that a black t-shirt will serve as a decent backdrop to show you how I tie it. The hook that I prefer to use, I'm going to use a little bit bigger one than I normally do just so you can see it a little better, but I like the $24.99 SPBL hook. It's a barbless hook. It's kind of a round shank to it, so it hooks up really nicely, and it's really easy to get out once that fish is landed. So it's the hook that I prefer. Here's some pegs that I've already cut, so you can see one end is tapered. That's the thin end. One end is fat. And basically the way I tie it on is I'll select my color, and if I'm using a real light tippet, I'm using 3X here, so hopefully you can see it okay. And then if I'm using a real light tippet, a lot of times it'll slip even with the peg in there, so I'll loop it around one time. If I'm using 2X or something like that, one pass of the line, the peg will be tight enough in there to hold it. So the best way to do it, if you do need to wrap it twice, is run it through the bead, run it back through, and be careful once you've got it on there. You can see I got a little loop in there. If you pull that tight and then like slide the bead along the line, you'll burn your line. So I just leave it kind of loose. I'll run the bead down with that little loop in it so it's well out of my way when I'm tying the hook on. So I'll tie this $24.99 SPBL, and you can just use an improved clinch or snell knot or whatever, polymer knot, whatever knot you choose to use. I'm just going to use an improved clinch because it's quick and easy when I can see. Except when I'm recording, looking like a dumbass. Wet that knot. So then you can slide this bead down, and here's the trick. I shouldn't call it a trick, but here's what you want to be cautious of. Guys that call this snagging, I disagree. Now if you had this bead out here and you've got the fish eats, this is going to foul hook the fish, right? But depending on the majority of the fish that you're targeting, if I'm fishing up at Decker's, or I'm fishing the Eagle, or I'm fishing somewhere that has a decent population of 20-inch fish, but you could also catch 14-inch fish, 12-inch fish, whatever, I'm usually running it about 1.5 inches above the hook. Now again, remember that hook that I normally use for this rig is much smaller, so you can imagine what it would what it would look like with that hook versus that larger hook. And again, it just depends. I mean, the larger the fish, the larger the hook I'm going to use. So you can adjust that kind of where you want it, and once you've got it on there, I'll take that peg and put the skinny end in first, obviously. Make sure that line's kind of tight where you want it and the bead's where you want it. And again, if you need to adjust that, open that loop first. That's the key, so you don't burn your line. Open that loop first, then you can kind of slide that bead down. Now, to pull that through without pulling the line through, I pull both ends together, and then I pinch and just kind of squeeze that peg until it's flush, and then I can cut the end off. And again, hold both ends of your line so you don't accidentally cut your tippet. Cut the end of the bead off, or the end of the peg off, and then you've got your bead rig. So again, you know, fish eat. You set that hook, it pulls that hook right into the fish's mouth, and 99% of the time you hook them right in the top of the lip, right in the corner, but it's always kind of right in their corner of their mouth. Occasionally, you know, if a smaller fish eats, you get them a little bit outside of the mouth, but you know, that's pretty rare. So that's the pegged bead rig. Hey, if you've got a better way to do it or a different way to do it, put your own video up and let us know. So hope you're having a good day. Keep on and keep making it hard.